Come, friends. Come into this gathering of the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Grand Traverse. Come as we commemorate Hanukkah and the lights that guide and direct us. I am Margaret Wozniak, a member of the Sunday Services Committee. We are happy to see those of you in our sanctuary, and welcome to all of you who are joining us online. When I reflect on Hanukkah, I can't help remembering the times that Doug and I have heard Peter, Paul, and Mary sing "Light One Candle" in concert. The lyrics give a meaning to each of the 8 candles of the menorah. Light one candle for the Maccabee children, with thanks that their light didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when their right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. Light one candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. Light one candle for those who are suffering the pain we learned so long ago. Light one candle for all we believe in, that anger won't tear us apart. And light one candle to bring us together with peace as the song in our heart. Peter Yarrow's lyrics are as meaningful today as they were when he wrote them 41 years ago, perhaps more so. As is our tradition, you are invited to light a candle, reflecting a joy or a sorrow that you are currently experiencing, and making a note of it on the book over on the left-hand wall. And these notes will be read later in the service. Do we have any visitors today? And if you're so comfortable as to introduce yourself, we'll bring a mic around to you so we can hear your name.
Hi, my name is Lexa Farrell, and this is my family, Kyle Farrell, Ruthie, and Abigail. We're visiting today. Thanks for having us.
Welcome. Welcome to the family.
I'm Kim Creepy. This is Ellen, and she'd talk if her mouth wasn't full right at the moment. That's my daughter, Allie, who some of you remember growing up at this age in this congregation. And this is her husband, Sean.
I'm Sean Paquette. I'm originally from Traverse City. Actually grew up right on Bloomfield Road, so it's nice to be here.
They came back. And these are my friends, Maureen and Pat.
Welcome.
And Phyllis's husband, John's here this morning. Good morning, John.
Welcome to the Greeby family and friends.
I'm John Putz. I belong to Millie Putz, and I'm not really a visitor. I have a name tag and everything.
Welcome. Is there anyone else? Oh, yes?
Hi, my name is Amy, and I live in Frankfurt and think of this as my church, but I haven't been here since I moved here, so now it is.
We invite you to join us in the social hall at the end of the service so we can give you a more personal welcome. And thank you for joining us this morning. We will now hear our centering music.
Whoever you are and wherever you are on life's journey this morning, you are welcome here this morning. I'm Reverend Alex, the senior minister here at UUCGT. I use he and him pronouns. And welcome to our service on miracles and mystery, hearing the story of Hanukkah and perhaps seeing it from a new perspective. Welcome also on this first Sunday of Advent. You might notice we have our holiday trees, Christmas trees, solstice trees, whatever the trees need to be for you and the seasons you are observing. So it's nice to be here together and to be graced by this greenery and this reminder that in these cold times, the green will return again. As we join one another in this time for reflection, I invite you to hear these words from the Director of Religious Education, Gwen Matthews, from the First Universalist Church of Yarmouth, Maine. As December opens up before us, we welcome in the gift of reflection. We turn toward our holiday celebrations and search for common threads of meaning. Hanukkah, the festival of lights, commemorates a time of miracles when the faith of the Jewish people sustained them to reclaim their holy temple and keep the light of the menorah burning for 8 days. Here in our community, you are just as much of a holiday miracle as the turning of the earth, as persistence and dedication to a faith, as the creation of each new life. We see you and the love that you give to others, the space you create to hold one another's joys and sorrows, the generosity and spirit that you entrust to this community. You are the holiday miracle. This community is one of miracle makers. So come, you miracle makers, come and let us worship together this morning. We pause now in our service to light the flaming chalice, as we do each Sunday as we gather, affirming the light and hope that we bring when we are gathered together. As Margaret lights our chalice, I will share these words from the Reverend D.C. Fortune. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. We light this chalice to remember the miracle of the oil that burned for 8 days. We light this chalice to mark the nights of midwinter. We light this chalice as we wait for the sun to return. And now we pause to sound our singing bowl as we enter a time for rest, renewal, and sacred reverence. Please now rise in body or in spirit and join in singing our opening hymn, number 222 in your gray hymnals, Mi Yamalel, a Hebrew folk song for Hanukkah. Anne-Marie will lead us in singing together.
Who can retell the things that befell us? Who can count them? In every age a hero or sage at you are aid. Who can retell the things that befell us? Who can count them? To every age a hero or sage came to our aid. Ah, at this time of year and day of yore, Maccabees the temple did restore, and today our people, as we dreamed, will arise united, be redeemed. Who can retell the things that befell us? Who can count them? In every age a hero or sage came to our aid. Who can retell the things that befell us? Who can count them? In every age a hero or sage came to our aid. Go in joy, go in peace to meet the day. With open hearts embrace life's wonder. We will guide you, we will love you on your way.
So, we are going to be presenting the Gamble Awards next, so I'd like my committee to come on up. The committee is comprised of the past 3 years' awardees. So we have Lauren and Carl Kyneth, Mary Van Valen, Richard Miller, Jan Zerbel, Mary Ann Rivers-Fries, and myself. The award was started in the fall of 1993 and was named after the first honorees, Ruth and Jim Gamble, who received the award during the service dedicating this building. Its purpose is to recognize 1 to 3 people each year who have served our congregation well, typically in more than one arena, as strong and dependable volunteers, just like its namesakes did for so long. We have 3 winners for 2023, and we have only 1 in attendance in person, and a stand-in for the second one. and we'll have a ceremony for the third one when back in town. So Mary Van Valen's gonna read the first one. Lauren Kyneth will read the second, and Mary Ann Rivers will announce the third. So they will be awarded a key pin that's put on their name tag. They get a certificate, and their names will be added to the plaque that's displayed out by the office. And their pictures and bios will be in the beacon. So, Mary.
For those of you who don't know, when Jim Gamble passed, the big spruce, large now, spruce tree right out here by the driveway was planted and cared for by Clarence Kropa for the first summer of its life. And he would bring a 5-gallon bucket of water once a week to water Jim's tree. So it's a reminder of our Gamble Award. The winner of the Gamble Award I'm honored to introduce has been a member for more than 27 years. Though I am tempted to tell you every detail I know about this person, I will choose to highlight some examples of the nature of her service. If there is someone in need, this person not only notices, but takes action. She is the model in my life of how one is of service to others. One year when she worked at the resort, as winter began to move in, she realized that the Jamaican employees were walking to work without adequate winter coats or boots, mittens, and hats. Next thing that happened, she called on this congregation. She collected and delivered needed clothing to keep these guests to our area warm and safe that winter. There are hilarious memories of this Gamble awardee from her participation in the old April Fool's concerts. Other heartfelt memories come from her serious and beautiful performances on her violin. She has helped within our congregation in many ways, and one that is so appreciated now is her guidance on the Staff Resources Committee. She is our in-house HR guru. When the war in Ukraine started, this person never lost her stride. She organized a huge garage sale for the Ukraine, and we took in more than $6,000 for Doctors Without Borders for their work in the war zone. Every year for a decade or more, she has organized for teenagers from the south side of Chicago, many who have never been out of their neighborhoods, to come to northern Michigan simply to have fun in our wonderland. She welcomes the crew of about 12 with a barbecue and leads trips to water parks, kayaking adventures, riding bikes around Mackinac Island, visiting the Grand Hotel where she has connections, and swimming every chance they get. The kids from my block, my hood, my city love our awardee. Whether it's the winter cold, hurricanes, musicians from Africa, students needing an adult to be read to, or the suffering of those at war, this Gamble awardee is always ready to serve. You must know who this is, who has her heart wide open to service. But if you haven't guessed, please join me in welcoming Elwyn's grandmother, Kim Greeby.
3/4 of that stuff wouldn't happen without you.
Please excuse my slowness. I am going to tell you about someone who cannot be with us today because of a family emergency, but we do have a family member here who will accept the award on their behalf. And we hope that you will congratulate and thank this person when they are able to return to us. Now, this person's contributions have occurred over several years. They were, in the words of another family member, like a protege to Mike McDonald, a former winner of the Campbell Award. So there were many, many contributions to Safe Harbor, for instance, going above and beyond. This person was very willing to take overnight shifts, something that I personally never wanted to do, and often took additional overnight shifts whenever sufficient volunteers could not be found, as well as covering many of the other volunteer activities as they popped up. This past year, our winner was heavily involved in the stewardship drive as part of that team, showing up week after week to speak to the congregation, calling themselves the cheerleader for the stewardship team and for the congregation during the drive. This nominee was part of the ministerial search team, which brought Alex to our congregation, part of the group which developed our current covenant and has been on the Staff Resources Committee for 4 years. Our winner has also been on the Finance Committee for 4 years, most recently spending a lot of personal time, for instance, showing up every day and spending hours of work helping to bring the state of our financial management from pretty poor to properly functioning, with clear accountability to UU, to its employees, and to the congregation. This has meant slogging through a multi-year backlog of financial foibles and building responsibility and accountability into the system. Lastly, but not leastly, our winner was one of several mentors for Erica when she first began her work for UU. This involved daily consultation and a process of revamping the filing/computer system for efficiency and longevity, a several-year process, but it's now in place. Through this process, I myself have learned what this person has done, how very much this person has done for us. I didn't realize it. I didn't know. My hat, therefore, is off to Dusty Colton, who has done so much for this congregation, not just for those of us here now, but so many who come after us too. And his wife, Barbara, is with us today. She will accept the award for him. But I also, just this morning, received a message, and if you'll just give me a second to bring it up, I will read it to you because it's very touching. This is what Dusty says. I feel honored and humbled by this acknowledgement of my work by the congregation, which is made up of so many who give so much of their time, skills, and love. I have referred often to our brave little congregation as we go about our fellowship. Thank you all very much. And that's from Dusty himself.
I have the pleasure of speaking about a friend, excuse me, who's been a member of UUCGT since 2012. Her first contribution was time spent at Safe Harbor. She then joined a task force to create safe congregations policy. Having been a consultant to various housing authorities around the country, this seemed to be a good spot for her. She ended up doing the actual writing, and the policy committee has been her main home ever since. She's served on various committees: finance, leadership development, safe congregations, and social justice. She also served 3 stints on the board, twice filling in for someone who was unable to finish, and then finally really elected for a full term, which will end this June. She does claim that her greatest joy has been being a founding member of UUCGT. Did you get the hint here? And I was delighted to be part of that. The group now has many newer members, but the 3 of us, Cindy and our recipient and myself, were the starters. Other connections that our nominee has made include friends in the creative writing class from a few years back. Do you remember that? And she also joined a Soul Matters group last year and is delighted to report that she has found soul sisters there and feels a special connection to that group. She is seen in many places: fundraising, grounds cleanup, marching, playing, but her main focus is to try to assure that our governance is strong and functional. She lives on a little lake near Interlaken with her dog, cat, kayaks, gardens, golf clubs, and a small pop-up trailer for little trips. I want to share these words with you. They're from our winner today, and that is Judy Myers. Congratulations, Judy. I hope you're watching, and I hope I'm quoting this properly. UUCGT has become my home, and I'm so grateful for the connections and relationships I've made here. As Richard spoke about in the service last week, it is our love for each other that makes us strong. Thank you so much for the honor of this Gamble Award.
It is now time when we present our gifts to the Spirit of life. Our baskets have one side for the work of the congregation and another side for our work in the wider community. Those joining online may send a check to the church, go to the UUCGT website, or use the Vanco phone app. Know that your offering will be received in gratitude and used with beloved discretion.
It is our practice as a community to name and honor the joys and concerns that mark our lives, the milestones and moments of our lived experiences that we know we must share together while we are gathered. I'll be lifting up a few of those concerns and joys that have been offered up for us to hold. If you have a concern or a joy that's a bit too heavy to share with us in our service, you are always invited to reach out to myself, to reach out to a member of our congregational care team. Do we have somebody from congregational care here today? Oh, a couple folks over here. So you may talk with them, or you may simply light a candle in honor of the joy or concern that you're carrying that is too heavy, knowing that you and none of us are ever meant to travel life's journey alone. So this is what has been offered for us to hold on our hearts as we are gathered this morning. I have a joy to share. Yesterday, I bore witness to the miracle thematic to this Sunday service for our 4 UUs from UUCGT and the UU congregation of Petoskey, who hand-wrote over 111 cards to incarcerated UUs to spread some joy this holiday season. We look forward to signing up for even more names next year and having the chance to grow closer with our UU friends out in Petoskey and also the Upper Peninsula. So I wanted to share the joy of that miracle that I witnessed yesterday. From Kim Grebe, a joy to have Allie, Sean, and Elowen here today. A relief that my son Tim secured housing in Grand Rapids on Friday. So we rejoice in having your family come and rejoice for Tim. And now let us hold a moment of stillness for the concerns and joys that remain in the silence and in our hearts. And as you feel called, I invite you now into a time for reflection, meditation, and prayer. Breathing deeply together, taking a deep breath in and out. Another deep breath in and out. As the nights grow longer and the days pass us quickly, we are reminded of our need and our hunger for light. We are in a time in our year, in our wider world, where darkness abounds, where we wonder when light will return to us again, when the sun will rise long above our heads and bring warmth yet again to this cold, hard earth. Hanukkah is best known as the Festival of the Lights, a tradition of lighting candles and reminding ourselves of the sacredness that is already in our midst, even in the hardest of times. As you pause to reflect, I invite you to wonder, where is sacredness in this darkness? Where does hope abide in unlikely and unexpected places? Where are you noticing miracles amidst the mystery? Perhaps in an ordinary, everyday sense where mystery and wonder catches you by surprise. How might this season of darkness speak to you in ways that help you to embrace new possibilities, new challenges, and new horizons? May we both embrace the darkness as we kindle the light, and may the light of each of our lives give us oil in our lamps to keep burning through the longest nights. May it be so, and amen. Please join now as we sing our song of response, number 123, in your gray hymnals, Spirit of Life. The lyrics are also on your order of service and up on the screen.
Spirit of life, come unto
Our reading this morning is an excerpt from an article by Rabbi David Hoffman titled "The Miracle of Hanukkah." In it, he reflects on miracles and the stories we tell. He writes, "Stories have great power. We tell stories about ourselves and about our communities because they give our lives meaning, and they help us navigate between the past and the future. We use stories to help us make sense of the world and our place in it. Not far behind the stories we tell about our community's religious history lie profound truths addressing our most pressing religious concerns. The holiday of Hanukkah offers us at least two stories, which seek to explain why its observance may be compelling. Of course, there's the exciting and courageous story of the Maccabees' military victory and their role in reclaiming a sense of Jewish autonomy. Competing with this story is the pious narrative of the oil lasting for 8 days and the rededication of the Holy Temple, a deeply religious moment. The true nature of the miracle of Hanukkah, according to a text by Panehi Yehoshua, is not that one vial of ritually pure oil miraculously lasted for 8 days. Indeed, even if they had not found this container of pure olive oil, the menorah in the temple still could have been lit with it. The Panei Yehoshua says that even open, ritually unfit containers of oil could have been used for the lighting of the menorah after the temple was rededicated. So in truth, there really wasn't a need for all of the miracle, where 1 day's worth of pure oil lasted for 8 days. But the story of the oil lasting for 8 days does relate a miracle, however. The question is, how do we interpret the story, and where do we attach meaning? The power of the miracle was not providing oil that we would not have had otherwise. Rather, a small quantity of oil miraculously kept aflame for 8 days. That miracle of oil was a sign that God had not abandoned the Jewish people. As long as the oil burned, God was with the Jewish community. This Hanukkah story explicitly addresses our intense yearning to feel sacredness and its presence in our lives. When we attach this story of the meaning of Hanukkah to the ritual of lighting our menorah, we affirm our conviction in the belief of the immanence of sacredness. The lights of Hanukkah and the story behind them are our bright light against darkness and despair. The flames dancing from our menorah announce our belief that there is not even a thin wall between us and the sacred. The flames dancing from our menorah announce our belief that there is not even a thin wall between us and the sacred.
So before we get into Hanukkah, I first want to talk about cats. You may know this by now, but I am totally a cat person. I've had both cats and dogs growing up, and I've enjoyed both. And while I mean no tea or shade to you dog lovers out there, my heart is just smitten with cats. Pull me aside sometime and we can talk all about my darling cat Lydia, who my partner Connor and I absolutely dote over. You cat owners already know what a miracle it is when a cat chooses or deems you worthy enough to share itself with you, jumping up on your lap or gracing you with their affection and attention. One might ask, who owns who here? Nevertheless, I wanted to tell you about the unexpected, sacred encounters I continue to have when I come upon a neighborhood cat on a walk while I'm out and about. You all who don't enjoy cats can feel free to just tune out here. When I was in school not all that long ago, it actually almost became a problem for me, especially in the crowded neighborhoods of Cambridge and Boston, where cats are just simply everywhere. Sometimes I'd be verging on being late to class, and admittedly, sometimes I was late, spending way too much time catching up and petting my furry neighborhood friends. For me, especially on dark, late-night walks home, I began to see my encounters with these friends as sacred, as encounters with life and that feeling of being connected to something larger than myself, even just being connected to another living and breathing being. So my daily walks and spontaneous encounters with these kitty friends became sacred for me. Sometimes I'd be puzzled to wonder how one of my cat friends just simply knew that I needed them on a particular day that was hard or heavy. I think many of us wonder at the miracle of how our animal friends just seem to know. I promise this sermon won't only be about cats. You can all tune back in now. We will get to the story of Hanukkah and some different ways to view this story, a familiar story to our Jewish friends among us this time of year. Today's topic is delving into something larger than candles and lamps, larger than the sacred dance between both darkness and light. We're delving into the mystery of miracles, how we even go about defining miracles, and the mystery we sometimes feel in the space between what we can prove to be true and what we know to be true. For some of us, we might find the space between these two things rather small. No doubt more than a few of us might even bristle at hearing the word miracle being used, imagining feats like walking on water or moving mountains. We might even think about the miracles as supernatural events, things that people pray for and might even use as touchstones in harmful theologies around only trusting in God or in the divine over science. Or it might even call to your mind an image of something unexplainable, rare, or strange. Perhaps even you have had an encounter with a miracle in your own lifetime, often small, though perhaps big. My hope for you is that we can break open the word miracle together and understand it in newer ways. This will bring up for us the following questions. What is a miracle? And how do I know if I've seen or experienced one? Aren't those fictional or even make-believe? We'll get into all of these questions in our time together, but first it feels important that we ground ourselves in a working definition for what we mean by miracles. You already know how much I love going to the dictionary to see the roots of words and how we define them. Today won't be any different. According to Merriam-Webster, a miracle is either an extraordinary event manifesting divine intervention in human affairs, or an extremely outstanding or unusual event, thing, or accomplishment. Think the healing miracles described in sacred texts, or the miracles of architecture, technology, and engineering. In passing, we use the word miracle to mean something surprising or unexpected. Interestingly, the word comes from the Latin mirare, meaning something amazing or marvel. This word is even hidden in other words that we use like admire, mirage, or even the word mirror, something to behold with wonder. While one can use miracle to mean something supernatural or divine, we can also lean into a sense of beholding mystery and wonder. Miracles as things that cause us to slow down, to stop in our tracks, to simply just behold with awe. The slowing down helps when there is a cat on your lap, I will add that. So miracles might not be something that far from us, or even that far from some of you who wrestle with a supernatural view of miracles. Miracles might simply be those moments of awe and wonder that touch our lives, encounters with mystery and sacredness that we find in everyday, ordinary, and mundane moments. The things that cause us to simply stop and behold. That's the sense of miracles that we're talking about today, though I don't think this negates your view of how or why these moments come into our lives. I'll let you sort those answers out for yourself in the very Unitarian Universalist fashion. This Thursday, December 7th, marks the first night of the Jewish celebration of Hanukkah, a Hebrew word meaning dedication, and a tradition known as the Festival of Lights. Our Time for All Ages story already explained some of the basics of this tradition, how each night for 8 nights, families around the world pause to light the menorah, a candle or a flame for each of the nights that the sacred oil in the rededicated temple burned. A miracle, we are told, by how there was only enough sacred oil for one night, and it lasted for 8 whole days and nights. Surprisingly, we learn from our reading that Margaret shared that the miracle of Hanukkah wasn't actually having enough oil to keep the lamps burning. According to Rabbi David Hoffman, while they had just one vial of sacred oil to burn, there was actually more oil that was unconsecrated that, for communal purposes, would have been appropriate to burn for those nights. Instead, the miracle of the oil was that in the midst of the long nights, the Jewish people were able to invite in a sense of sacredness and presence. At a time when hope felt lost for so many, when the wall between hope and despair seemed thick and mighty. And so the lamps burned against the stark night, and the people were reminded of sacredness's presence in the midst of their trials and their challenges. They remembered, as Rabbi Hoffman writes, that there is not even a thin wall between us, a wall between what is sacred and mundane, a wall between you and me and all that holds us separate from one another. That's a pretty radical and miraculous statement. Quite honestly, miracles are miracles because they show up in unlikely and unexpected places. They call us to question whether such a thing could even be real, or whether such encounters with sacredness or that larger-than-life mystery that we're all a part of can really still happen in our everyday lives. It brings up a question on many of our hearts these days when the nights feel long, especially for our shared world. When wars and conflicts rage and ceasefires end. When climate change threatens the sustainability of our lifestyles and our global community of people and their access to food, water, and livable environments. When democracy and our systems in this country seem fragile and the walls thin that are holding it all together. When our death-dealing world gives us more than we can handle, we can find ourselves wondering if hope will ever return to us. My friends, now is the time to start looking for miracles. It's a time for us to not just look for miracles, but to become miracle makers ourselves, to find ways to bring about the presence of hope and sacred humanity into the here and now. It's time to light a candle, a lamp, or even a flaming chalice to remind ourselves that sacredness is indeed already in our midst. Even if we believe such a thing is improbable, unlikely, or even unbelievable. That's exactly what miracles are, after all. How many of you have heard of the famous UU humanist musician Peter Mayer? Any hands out there? A few. You might have even heard us playing one of his pieces in a service within the last couple of years, especially one song called Everything is Holy Now. I just couldn't resist. Peter has an amazing gift of putting the sacredness of humanity and our experiences as human beings into profound and powerful lyrics. You see, miracles are compatible with a humanist lens of life as well. And as Peter sings, when I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time that Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad. Miracles don't happen still. Moses, and now I can't keep track because everything is a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. Such powerful lyrics. I really invite you to listen to his song, Everything is Holy Now, if you haven't heard it yet. Miracles are all around us, and it is a miracle that anything is here at all. Many of us have known long and dark nights of the soul, where hope has felt the farthest from us. Moments in our lives of such unspeakable and devastating loss. Times of trial that cause our sense of life and love to grow thin. Desperate places where all we can do is hope and pray for something miraculous. A complete and total healing of ourselves or our loved ones. A longing to see our departed ones once again, to hear their voices echo the halls just once more. Many of us have known the raw tenderness of crumbling, of finding ourselves curled up on the kitchen floor, wondering if we'll ever be able to find our way forward. Hanukkah reminds us that the kitchen floor is sacred ground, too. That the presence of hope and love is not as far from us as we might think in these longest of nights. That miracles can even be found in the longest of nights, if we simply remember to turn on the light. Few of you will see what I did there. So, dear ones, I'm giving you a hard job this Sunday. Your job is to go out into this death-dealing world and to find and notice the miracles. Don't go out looking for people walking on water or transforming water into wine or that sort of thing. But do report back and let us know if you do find anyone doing that. I think we'd be kind of curious. Find those miracles in the regular and the ordinary, the moments that cause you to pause, to rest, marvel, and wonder. Your job is not just to notice the miracles, but to become a miracle maker yourself. To notice where hope can still be found even now, even in a time when many have cause to feel hopeless. Your job is to slow down, to pet some cats or dogs, to light a candle, to create opportunities for sacred encounters, for encounters with mystery, awe, and wonder. Life itself is a mystery. We know not fully where we come from or where we're going. Our job as Unitarian Universalists is to be the light, to bring the light of our own flames out into a world that denies it is still there, that doubts that we can really change things for the better after all. In the places of your life where you are in touch with the limits of your humanity, with your pain and your brokenness, remember that miracles are found there too, in the darkness. That love still abides, still exists, and still holds, just as love holds us all. We know you have a lot of work to do. This world is sorely in need of some miracles. Are you up to the task? May it be so, and amen. Please join now in a moment of stillness. Please rise now in body or in spirit as we sing our closing hymn, number 1003 in your teal hymnals, Where Do We Come From? We have the music also up here on the screen for you to view. And you'll notice that this song is sung in 4 different parts. And so I'll invite Anne-Marie and our lovely leaders here to help lead us in singing these different parts.
While the VE is getting set up to help lead, I'll talk you through this. We're going to try a round again today. So the first time through, we will sing it all together, just one line after the other. For those of you that read music, we are ignoring the repeat signs. Then, on the second time, this chunk of lovely humans, you will go first. VE that's leading section 1, raise your hands. So they're your leaders. Once they've sung through the first line, then group 2 we will start in at the beginning. Then group 3, boy, the 3s are heavy today. We're going to have to, us 1s and 2s and 4s are going to have to really go for it. And then 4, we will start. So we'll sing through it all together one time. Then when your group starts, sing through it 2 additional times, and then you can cut it off. Okay? Let's give it a shot.
We release the flame with words from Reverend Victoria Stafford. Now is the moment of magic, and here's a blessing. We already possess all the gifts we need. We've already received our presents. Ears to hear music, eyes to behold lights, hands to build true peace on earth, and to hold each other tightly in love.
It's everyone's favorite time in the service for the very important but brief ritual and liturgy of announcements. I promise I'll be quick. You're invited to join us after the service today, any of you that are new to UU and to this congregation or want to learn more about how to get involved. We have a UU orientation after the service today that'll be about an hour or so. So if you'd like to stick around for that, anybody, no matter what your level with UU is welcome. There's no commitment or anything. Just come and join us and learn more about the path to membership and how to grow more involved. We are also in the midst of our auction fundraiser, and I know that Mary Van Valen and Kate Jarvie are available here. Would you raise your hands for everyone? So these good folks are here to, available in light of our theme of mystery. They're available to dispel any mysteries with how to bid or purchase different things for our auction fundraiser. And remember that we have a dollar-for-dollar match that is available for up to $9,000. That's $18,000 that is possible if we raise it. So join us for a closing auction of 2 really exciting auction items also on December 10th. There's a new parking space that is opening up next to the ministers that you might want to be on the lookout for. You can also really give me a hard or challenging sermon topic to wrestle with. That's also one of the items up for bid. So anyway, those quick little announcements just to remind you that our auction is here and we have a UU orientation today after the service. If you feel willing and able, I invite you to now rise and to either join your hands or outstretch your hands in this wonderful symbol of I really don't want to be touched. We're all going to respect this. Those of you online are also invited to outstretch your hands. You know, nobody's getting on up here. And in this, we're still finding hands and outstretching hands. There we go. In the spirit of covenant, community, and commitment, and in the spirit of Hanukkah, mystery, and miracles that cross our lives, may we be made ready to serve one another and to create the world we so desperately dream of. Go in peace all. Happy Sunday. May it be so, and amen. Pass the squeeze if it feels comfortable.